are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. Long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We remember.
Susan used to say that if it was never dark, we wouldn't be able to see the stars. How right she was. Susan's passing makes this world much darker. But she knew that in this darkness, we could harness her light, embracing one another with the love and the care that she shared so freely. This little poem was written by an extraordinary young woman named Hannah Senish, a woman who sacrificed her life for the love of her family and her people. And Susan knew that to give one's love to family, to friends, to community was the purest love that anyone could give. It is fitting that we gather here at the Hill and Valley Club of Hayward, which was a second home for Susan. She loved her friends here so much and found such sustenance and support and care here. For the last 8.5 years, I have been very fortunate to officially refer to Susan as Aunt Susan. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Shayna. This is my husband, Andy. Andy is the eldest son, second oldest child of Susan's beloved and adored older brother, Steve. Our hearts are full and broken, but they are grateful hearts for the sweetness and light that Susan shared with us, especially the support these last 2 years and far before that. So we want to thank the family for this extraordinary honor, and thank you all so much for coming today. There is nothing more sacred and more beautiful and more selfless than to come and share your love with this beautiful family and with each other. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember.
As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We remember. As we live our days, these are
This is a celebration of life. When a beautiful light goes out unexpectedly, we find ourselves maybe at a loss for words. There are so many challenges. Hills to climb in this world of ours. It's appropriate that this is the Hill and Valley Club because that is so much what life is about. Peaks and valleys. And as we walk through this life together, there are those that we have touched, we hope, who can find the words to celebrate, to recall, to share what it means to be a human being in this beautiful and brief life of ours. Aunt Susan touched so many people, her dear and beloved friends, her sisters in this community, but most closely, of course, her dear family. This afternoon, we plan to hear from her beloved children, Glenn and Jenny with Tom, and Sean with Chi, her adored grandchildren, Shannon, and some beautiful words prepared by Alan, her extraordinary eldest brother, whom we call Uncle Dave, and then her absolutely cherished life partner of more than 60 years, dear Norm. After we have heard from the family and their reminiscences, we will have a sweet and beautiful slideshow prepared by Susan's children. And then for anyone who would like, who is here with us today, there will be a little time, if you so choose, to come to the microphone and share some anecdotes and memories of your dear friend. For those who are joining us via YouTube, our live stream, if you would like to enter any reminiscences or thoughts in the chat space, we invite you to do that. And if today feels like a lot to come up and share, please know how precious your memories will be in the days and weeks and months to come. Don't be shy. Write them down. Record them if you wish. Share them with the family. They become part of Susan's legacy, and the family will be grateful beyond measure to hear your memories and your thoughts and your prayers. We will begin this afternoon. I see that the Hill and Valley Club is already very forward-thinking and has changed the clocks already to daylight savings time. But rest assured, it is only 3:51. So with that, we have time, thank God. It's a pleasure and honor to have loved ones come forward. It's considered one of the greatest honors a person can have, is when there are loved ones to come and sing their praises. And we are fortunate to have so many who wish to do so today. We start with Glenn.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Better? Hello. I've been doing a lot of baking since Mom passed away. She taught me that life is a giant test kitchen. And each of us is a chef trying to perfect a recipe. If you're good at following directions, you get an amazing dish. Or if you're like me, a little imprecise with the measurements, the result may be messy and unexpected, hopefully still edible. But she had a blast making it because it came from the heart, and that's what really matters. So today I want to share the recipe my mom helped me create, made entirely from ingredients she gave me. Number one, start with a generous amount of love. Mom married Dad on November 23rd, 1963. I never forget their wedding anniversary because it was the day after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. My parents were deeply in love, and that love endured by more than 62 years. We could see it whenever they were together, and they stayed together in an era when relationships became disposable, a firm foundation upon which they raised me and my siblings, Jennifer and Sean. That love set the tone for everything Mom did in life, whether it was love for her family or the rescued cats that often wandered into the yard. I've lost count of how many cats wandered into our lives. Number two, blend with good parenting. I happened along in 1965, the first of Mom's 3 Gen X children, and the only child for nearly 4 years, so I got spoiled with all of her love and was on the cutting edge, literally, of child-rearing challenges. You don't soon forget having your head accidentally stomped into the jungle gym by a classmate in preschool. Mom was with me for the stitches and through the tears. Like my first day of kindergarten, when we walked together to the playground gate of Winton Grove Elementary School, Mom trying to ease my apprehension. All was fine until it came time to say goodbye, and I clung to her for dear life, bawling, until she reassured me that yes, she would actually come back at the end of the day to pick me up from school. And Mom remained by my side through all my years of education, volunteering in classrooms, chaperoning on field trips, buying up magazine subscriptions and boxes of candy bars to save me from the embarrassment during class fundraisers of being the only one to not have sold any. Helping with homework, reading me to sleep with The Hobbit and the Little House series of books, teaching the values of trust, honesty, and integrity, allowing me the freedom to build friendships, and then welcoming those friends into our home for dinners and sleepovers, encouraging me in my writing, creative, and academic pursuits. Seasoned with humor. Mom loved to laugh. She had a dry wit. She taught me that confronting your challenges with humor was better than stewing over them. I learned the fine art of self-deprecation, not to take ourselves too seriously, and that sprinkling a little levity into difficult moments make things easier on everyone. Listen for when it starts to boil. Is it any wonder she became a psychologist? She taught me that you learn more by listening to what others have to say than by doing all the talking. And like many moms, she seemed to know everything about everyone, and she had opinions about, well, everything, if you asked her to share them, and occasionally if you didn't. Want my advice? Well, I'm going to give it to you anyway. She was an amazing sounding board for everything from dating to parenting to work frustrations to investing. I didn't share all my secrets, but I always knew she'd hear me out whenever I did. It taught me the importance of protecting the ones that were entrusted to me. Add a dash of frugality. We didn't come from wealth, and we were reminded of that fact. My parents began their married life with cardboard boxes for furniture. Things that wore out were repaired. This helped our parents delay the growing trend of dual-earner households and enabled Mom to stay home to raise us, attending to cooking, cleaning, and shopping while Dad commuted to the city. I remember one day she took me to the Lucky store and lamented the cost of a gallon of milk had climbed to the obscene price of $1.44. helping to push the cost of our week's worth of groceries to something north of $50 for the first time. If saving money meant going to generics over the name brand, our Cheerios became Odeos. Our school clothes weren't always fashionable, but usually on sale. A small black and white console TV that ran on vacuum tubes was one of our few luxuries, and I remember being envious when my friends would talk about their new 15-inch color televisions, and I wondered why we couldn't have one, let alone a cable subscription. One of Mom's favorite sayings I often heard, "If everyone else was lining up to jump off a cliff, would you jump too?" Maybe. Still, I can't remember a birthday or a Christmas when we wondered for gifts, although I'm still trying to get over the G.I. Joe that I never got. Stir and perseverance. I saw this most clearly when I began my studies at Cal State Hayward. It was a clarion call to Mom to return to college and complete the psychology degree she'd never had the chance to finish in her 20s. We commuted to the campus together on some days, while those long drives up winding Carlos B. Boulevard, listening to the 80s pop on the radio, each the other's inspiration to press forward in our chosen fields of study. But I was easily bored, and midway through my 4 years, when I teetered on the decision to abandon my degree and drop out, it was Mom who encouraged me to go on to graduate. For that, I am truly grateful, for it was soon after that I met my wife, Ronnie. A cherished family recipe. Mom was our historian, the keeper of our family tree. Long before there was Ancestry.com, she was researching historical documents and keeping notes on her findings. She had a large extended family and photo albums of aunts, uncles, cousins, generations of grandparents. For as long as I can remember, Mom wanted nothing more than to be a grandmother herself. And just before her 50th birthday, she got that wish with the birth of her first grandson, Ben. She soon saw 3 other grandchildren, Shannon and Alan and Emily Susan, who shared Mom's name but whom we sadly never got to know. But the carefree days she pictured of doting over her growing clan also came with challenges and heartaches. True to her nature, she carried the weight of the world on her shoulders when it seemed unbearable, and she never gave up on anyone, even in the darkest moments. Bake to share. Mom loved to bake, and we all love to eat. There wasn't a holiday feast that didn't feature a cherished recipe: cranberry relish at Thanksgiving, Lebkuchen cookies in the holidays, birthday cakes, cherry pies, and for me, her Christmas bread. It was a recipe she handed down to me early in my marriage, and a tradition I've kept alive and going more than 30 years now. She used to ask me how my loaves always came out looking so perfect, but the truth is that I always cherry-pick the best ones for the photos. The recipe makes 2 loaves, one for eating and the other supposedly for sharing. I wish I could share this one with her today. Use healthy portions. I often laugh that only designer jeans I had in my childhood were those I inherited from my parents. Dad got blessed with the good genes, while it seemed Mom gave us the more problematic ones, especially the ability to gain weight, no doubt encouraged by all that great food. The diets rarely seemed to last for long, but Mom didn't give up trying, and in recent years, she got into walking and had slimmed down a lot. She looked great for a woman of her age. She could run circles around me, as I discovered on our trips to Europe and Hawaii, when she would quickly be 100 yards ahead while I was panting trying to keep up. For best results, use lots of patience. Not because Mom was a patient person, she wasn't. And I only realized how impatient she could be in her later years. Our last trip together was a cruise to Hawaii this past October. We rented cars in several locations, and our itinerary ran with near military precision time to the exact moment we would have to be back at the rental lot so we could get back to the boat in time for departure. While traveling along the winding road through Waimea Canyon State Park, known as the Grand Canyon of the Pacific for its miles of verdant tropical splendor, we encountered road construction. This didn't fit with Mom's itinerary, and less than 2 miles from the summit, she was ready to tell Dad to turn back around. We only had a couple of hours to get the car back to the rental facility. Thankfully, Dad overrode her, and we pressed on until we arrived at Gehlke Lodge, where we had a nice sit-down lunch and got to stretch our legs a while. And you know what? We still got the rental car back on time. Had we turned back, we might never have we might have kept driving down that long road without stopping to appreciate the view. And there is so much beauty in life to appreciate if you have the time. Which brings me to the most important part of our recipe. Check the time. Because we all thought there would be more of it. More love, laughter, birthdays and holidays, more wisdom, more family vacations, more photos to fill our albums, more opportunities to perfect our recipe together. Mom was 81 years young, healthy, active, with lots of living to do. It was easy to take for granted that she would see her own centennial as her mother had. There was another plan is hard to accept, but it has reminded me that the days are a gift and the years aren't a given, even as I find myself wanting more of both. Finally, serve with forgiveness. Most of all, Mom taught me the power of forgiveness and second chances. We had our differences and misunderstandings, especially when I was younger. But Mom didn't give up on us, and I never gave up on her. Sometimes the hardest words to say are, "I'm sorry," but they can also be the most powerful, right after "I love you." So thank you, Mom, for helping me to create our beautiful dish together. You assembled the finest raw ingredients and a lifetime's worth of instructions that I'm doing my best to perfect, although I certainly never will. And I baked this for you today, and I'll be sure to save you the last slice. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. I don't know if I can top that. I'm Jennifer, and I am my mother's middle child and only daughter. When I thought about what I wanted to say for today, I was especially missing her, because while I did inherit her great writing skills, I often turned to her to help edit what I wrote. I feel so moved being in the presence of everyone here whose life was touched by my mom. And I feel blessed to have been connected to all of you through her. My mother had been my touch point for 56 good years. We were lucky to be able to share about as close a bond as mother and daughter can have. And over the years, our many talks about life and family, events and encouragement, and just woman stuff in general, from the heartfelt to the trivial, strengthened our bond. And I think those conversations definitely brought us to a deeper understanding of one another, too. Everything that's been a part of Susan Gehlke was as close as stepping into her home. On her walls and shelves, photos of the loving family her life was centered around. By the entryway, her shoes that she wore the tread on from the miles of early morning daily walks she took up at Bailey Ranch. In her front yard, the landscaping and flowers she designed and planted from her own vision. In her backyard, the sounds of twittering birds visiting her feeders by day and the calls of the owls she listened for at night. In her pantry and refrigerators, Food and drink always stocked up for any occasion. I think she spent at least a third of her life in grocery stores. In her garage, stores of dry cat food she kindly gave to her neighbors' neglected cats. Among her music collection, CDs of John Denver and Carly Simon, two of her favorite artists. On her iPad, always a video game or a logic puzzle of some sort because she loved to compete with herself. On her phone, her most recent Facebook posts, often sharing favorite photos or quotations from Pinterest, which I'm sure many of you have seen. On her DVR, the latest recording of our soap opera, Days of Our Lives, which she started watching from its inception and kept up after I didn't have the time to share it with her anymore. In her guest room, cabinets with a ton of material swatches, quilting and craft supplies to indulge in her sparks of creativity. On her sunny kitchen windowsill, plants and succulents she's nurtured along with flowers in bloom to enjoy. On her table, appreciation mail from the many charities she donated to. In binders, typed Hill and Valley meeting minutes and a plethora of ideas she jotted down to help promote this club she loved so much. On her computer, research and letters written to City Council on behalf of our Hayward Concerned Citizens nonprofit group. In her closet, a sweatshirt or two with cooking stains from all the wonderful meals she made. On her counter, leftover cookies from her Friday get-togethers with longtime friends Carol and Sharon. And in her two catios, her four beloved fur baby kitties, Winston, Flossie, Boodle, and Percy. My memories of my mother are bountiful, and I will cherish them always. And I still talk to her. I'll never run out of things I want to tell her, and I do believe she's still listening. Mom, I'll never forget our last months with you. How we got to finally take your granddaughter to the bird sanctuary. Our mother-daughter trip to see the amazing holiday lights in Cambria, and your determination on hands and knees to get all our family room flooring done in your 80s, practically as a one-woman show. I will remember how you made every Christmas magically come together when I was a kid, as Glenn already said. And you kept up those holiday traditions with our families, surrounded by love and a lot of good food. You were the one holding our baby, Emily Susan, in your arms when she took her last breath. And you were the one who was there for Dad when he had his stroke. I promise you, I will be there for him now, whether he wants me to or not. In closing, I just wanted to share something I wrote and read to my mom on Mother's Day a couple of years ago. You may not understand all the references. My dearest mother, here's a poem for you alone on this most auspicious day, as I set aside my HCC dishes and bills to pay, to share with you my gratitude, my love and admiration for your help, your ear, and good advice, and for my tulip time vacation. These days, the world moves far too fast with its struggles and share of challenge, yet you've always laid foundations, been my compass, kept me balanced. You're my sounding board, sassy and sweet, the solid voice of reason, our matriarch in the leading role, as constant as the seasons. You've taught me to fight in words and deeds, to try to right the wrongs. You gave me the voice to speak my truth and soothed me with quotes and songs. As a mom, I've learned moms are not gods, but they do the best they can. Though they sow their dreams and build their homes, things don't all turn out as planned. You've shown me resilience, patience, and the tolerance to adapt, to be able to make my way in life while finding there's more than one path. As moms, we're on uncharted ground. We don't know where the roads will lead, but we stand up for our families, guiding those in need. We moms need to stay together because that's how we do. Thanks for the everyday gift of yourself. My gift is to stick with you. I love you, Mom.
Life isn't fair. This is a saying that my mom said to me often, especially growing up, and nowhere does it ring more true than in her untimely death. Her parents, my grandparents, lived very long lives. My grandpa lived to be in his late 90s. My grandmother lived into her hundreds. And my mom, she was healthy and strong until the very day that she died. So we expected so many more birthdays, holidays, celebrations, planned trips. And it's just also shocking that this happened. A few weeks before she passed, Mom had given me a call, and she said that she really wanted to come down to San Jose to see my wife Chi and myself. And I said, yeah, we should do that. You know, we'll plan to do that at some point soon. And a couple more weeks rolled around. I had a spare weekend, and I had a choice. I could either choose to give my mom a call and have her come down, or I had wanted to take Chi to Big Sur because the road had just opened after 2 or 3 years, and I really wanted to take her to do that drive. And I was left with that choice, and something told me, I'm going to call my mom, and we're going to get together in San Jose. And that's what we did. We went to Little Saigon in San Jose. We had a traditional Vietnamese meal at one of the restaurants. We had great conversation. And I had asked if she would cut my hair because I had last had it cut in Vietnam. It had grown long after 3 months. And she agreed to bring all the hair trimming equipment down and give me a haircut at my home. She was always willing to do the little things like that, and she never complained about doing the little things. Actually, that's not true. She complained all the time, but she did those little things anyway, you know, out of love. So you know, Chi and I were able to have that last. That last moment, those last moments with her, even though we didn't know those would be our last moments. And the following weekend, you know, which was the alternate, we were traveling through Big Sur, and we got out of cell phone reception about noon, and we were back in cell phone reception at about 5, and in the interim, she had passed away. So I would not have had those last moments with Mom if we had made the decision differently. So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, bear with me. I have tried to do this all from memory, but you know, the emotions, sometimes I have to look back at my notes here. My mom's death, you know, maybe in a way it shouldn't have come as that great a surprise that it happened, you know, when she was still young, because at family gatherings, she would always be the first to tell us, you know, it's time to leave. You know, we'd be in the middle of our revelry, and she said, no, It's time for us to go. I need to get home. The cats have a routine. And she'd often be, already in the car, and we'd have to tell Dad, we'd have to say, you need to get to the car, otherwise Mom's going to get upset at you, because he'd still be talking to us. And I mean, that's the way she was. She was there early, and she would leave early. She always said the cats had a routine, but really it was all about her routine. She needed that routine. Mom, I mean, she had a lot of anxiety and a lot of worries, and I think it was the routines in life that kind of kept her grounded. It kept her going. An example of her anxiety manifesting itself would be family trips that we would take when we were younger. If it was a plane flight, Mom would have us at the airport 3 hours ahead of time, because they always tell you that you need to be there 2 hours ahead of time. So she would make sure we were there 3 hours ahead. If it was a car ride, she would have her bags packed and ready to go a day or two ahead of time. And then inevitably, my dad, he's the last minute packer. And so inevitably he'd be packing last minute, or he would be watering the lawn, the garden, and she'd say, you have to get going. We need to be on the road. We need to beat traffic. Now, it didn't matter that we were leaving at 4 a.m. That's just Mom. That was her anxiety talking. I mean, that's what she would say. She'd want to be on the road and then getting the trip started. And I mentioned worry too. One of Mom's favorite pastimes was worrying about the family. There wasn't anything that she wouldn't be willing to do with us as a result to alleviate some of that worry. And that could range, anywhere from the aforementioned haircut to giving us advice on, our, major life decisions. And as Glenn said, either solicited or unsolicited more often. But inevitably, even the unsolicited advice was was more often than not, it was the right advice. We didn't always take it, but it was, it was what was right. So Mom, in retirement, she'd been retired for about 20 years before her passing. She had always envisioned doing a lot more traveling, and she said that was one of the regrets that she had, that she didn't get to travel more. As it is, she did get to go on trips. I mean, with me, we went on a cruise to Alaska, to the Inner Passage together. And with Glenn and Ronnie, we got to go on a tour through the Panama Canal. And those experiences and those memories will be memories that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. As I said, she would have liked to do more traveling. The reason she didn't do as much traveling as she'd planned is family obligations. The family always came first with her, and that included, like everybody, starting with my grandpa, who was ailing, and she and my two uncles would make trips across the country to New Jersey to be with him and to help my grandmother. As he eventually would die. And then after his death, my grandmother, she helped pack up and move at the ripe old age of, I think, 98. She was elderly. And she got my grandmother moved back across the country to the Bay Area so that she could be closer to her. And she was there for my grandmother until her passing, which was in 2017. And then only a year later, Grandma Rose, my dad's mother, also was not doing well. And Dad made the difficult decision to move down to Southern California to Hemet full time to take care of his mother. I know that was hard on Mom. She was lonely, but as I said, she's a woman who, needs routine, and if she doesn't have routine, she'll find ways to make it. So she had routines with the grandkids. She would babysit. She would make meals for the grandkids. And of course, she became involved in two organizations, Hayward Concerned Citizens, and especially Hill and Valley. And I know how much both of those organizations and the friendships that she formed meant to her. So, what will I remember about Mom? I think the most important thing I'll remember is the laughter, the fun that we had. It could be at a family camping trip out in Prairie Creek, playing a game of Arkansas Bluff with a roaring campfire nearby in the evening. It could be a trip to New Jersey to see my grandparents and my uncles and aunts, and just the way they all seemed to have a great time just being together as a family. It could be our own Thanksgivings or Christmases where after a glass or two of wine, she would just get the giggles. And then there was the birthday when she was drinking a glass of milk at an inopportune time, and somebody said something that she thought was funny, and she did the classic spit take all over the birthday cake. Actually, that may have happened more than once, maybe 3 times. And there may have been a couple near misses too. The other thing that I'll take away that I remember is from my wedding day. She, my wife, we come from very different cultural backgrounds, clearly. She was born and raised in Vietnam. Our relationship had happened pretty quickly. We began dating in July of 2022. We were engaged by February 2023, and we were married by December of 2023. But I felt like at my age, you can't waste a lot of time. I know it was hard for Mom to have her 48-year-old baby boy, tie the knot after being, a bachelor for so long, and having, that relationship, because she and I had always been very close, and we had, gone on trips together and done a lot of, mother-son stuff, because I was the single one, that she could do things with. So, I know it was hard for her having another woman, having a woman come into my life, but she was, despite any misgivings she may have had, Mom was nothing but gracious, and she gave Chi the space to show her what the incredible woman that she is, and showed what the two of them have in common, which is that they both care so deeply about family. And she and I mean, we reached out to her to make sure that, she was okay, and we would go to overnights just to the house, just to spend the night, just to spend time with her and talk. And we would take little trips together. We took a trip with her and Chi's parents to Chi's dad to Reno to gamble, which was something else she really loved to do. And took another little gambling trip out to Cache Creek in the spring, where the beautiful orchard blossoms were in bloom, and we took the time to be able to enjoy that all together. And through that, I know that Mom grew to love and appreciate Chi as a daughter-in-law. And I know that the two of them meant a lot to each other. So that brings me back to the wedding day. It was the mother-son dance, and the song Billy Joel, "This Is the Time," began to play. It was a song that she chose for us without hesitation. I looked into her eyes, and she looked into mine, and I could see her mouth quivering. And it was just quivering with pure emotion. And she was just trying to hold it all together. And I haven't seen like any of the photos or video from the wedding that really captures what I saw with my own eyes. And that was, both joy and sadness and love that only a mother can have for her son. And I'd like to just close with a few words from "This Is the Time." This is the time to remember, because it will not last forever. These are the days to hold on to, because we won't, although we'll want to. This is the time. The time is going to change. Thank you all for coming. I love you, Mom, and I'll miss you. I need to put this.
Sean, your mom was so excited for your wedding, and I know it was a mix, as it is for all parents whose children get married and find their life partner. But because your mom and dad were so close and of one mind and one heart, I know that's what she wanted so much for you. And it was such an honor to be part of that extraordinary celebration. I also loved how much she and your dad wore those traditional Vietnamese they were not costumes, beautiful robes and clothing with such relish. They just embraced their roles that day so marvelously, and it was just extraordinary to watch and to behold. We have some space here for either Tom or Chi, or is Shannon next? Okay. Chi, do you want to come? Oh, okay. It's okay. It's okay. Thanks, Shannon. Okay. Thank you, sweetie.
Hello, I'm Shannon, Susan's, oh God, this is so weird to say her name is, well, something other than grandma. Susan's granddaughter, who has obviously not come up with anything because I had so many thoughts that I wanted to put out, so much I wanted to write, but there's just so much, and it was just a messed up slurry within my mind, and nothing would end up coherent whenever I tried. And I ended up just procrastinating the whole week away doing other stuff. But trust me, I did try, so I will just be trying to mention, what I can, what I remember of her, and what I most enjoyed. The way she's shaped me, and the ways that I remember her, and will continue on, throughout my life. Yeah, what I'll remember her by. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Thank you. Anyway, I definitely remember, how do I say this? Okay. I definitely remember how much she enjoyed birding. She's a huge part of, she's pretty much the reason I got into the hobby. Whenever I would go out cleaning and greening, for work, and find a bird, whether a hermit thrush or a tanager, whatever I would happen to see, wherever I was, or even a common bush tit, I would talk to her about what it was doing, what bird she'd seen that day as well, and exchange stories of her, and exchange sighting stories, whether it was her owls or, my house finches, finding the beauty in even the most common of things. I memorized all of the field guide, but the tiny, kind of indiscriminate sparrows for her, which are just very hard to tell apart by eye. But it was more than just birds. It was food. It was her taking me to parks, national forests, and doing things with our family as kids. As others have mentioned here, she may have been a bit impatient, she may have been a bit anxious, she may have been a bit unsubtle about these things. But despite all of that, she definitely kept me on track, and for that I owe her the world. She may not have believed that there was anything that came after, but even if she's not looking upon us here physically and or spiritually, she is looking upon us in the memories that we share of her. And that's what truly matters here. I will close with some words from the, not words, more like some singing from the memorial video that I tucked away in her left pocket just before she got cremated. Effectively the last song I gave to her. It's still, the artist may not be known, but the emotions that it evokes for me are. I see there's a new world way beyond the fading sun. I feel like a bluebird waiting for the day to come. Even though it's open wide and raw, this life is one rough road. Sometimes? Okay, just kidding. But the reason I added that song is because, she may have had issues with mental health. Hell, she struggled with depression for much of her teens and 20s, as she's confessed to me in the past. But, but she's shown us and shown me in turn with similar mental health issues that, no matter how much life is difficult, raw as the song says, difficult to push through. It may be rough, but you can always persist, just as her memory would have.
Hello everyone, my name is Alan Ferreira, and I am the grandson of my grandma, Susan. I would like to take the time to say a few nice words about my grandma, Susan, and I would like to share a nice memory we both have shared together. The first thing I would like to say about Susan was she was a very nice and kind-hearted, gentle soul that would always have the heart to take the time to really care about me. Each and every day, for instance, when she came to my house, when I was going through everyday life. So every day we saw each other, it meant a whole lot to me by her visiting me a lot every day. And when she was always at my house, she would always like taking the time out of her busy days to always come and take the time to visit, and it meant so much to me that this moment she has created really increased our friendship and our bond. And by her caring about me every day like this, she would always bring me tears of joy every day. When she was caring about me like this, and she would have the willingness to always give me kind and gentle hugs as well when she saw me, but she was always a very kind and uplifting soul that just cared about me. And to me, I thought of her as a friend. As we have shared this beautiful connection of talking throughout our friendship. And later, as our friendship grew, I was starting to appreciate her more and more. And I am very grateful she lived on this earth to treat me like this. And another thing I would like to say about Susan, she put me first before she contacted other people she knew in her day. I always really appreciated that about her. Lastly, a memory about my grandma Susan I would like to share is her way of communicating. When I went to her house in 2019, she would always care to cook me breakfast and cared about me and my bed arrangements at my sleepovers, so I can have memorable and comfortable and long-lasting memorable sleepovers throughout our friendship that will last a lifetime. So with all this being said, I will miss my grandma, Susan, and I'll remember her as an amazing and kind-hearted person she was once to me. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening.
Hello, everybody. Very proud of my son Alan and my daughter Shannon, my wife, the family speaking on behalf of Susan. It's really hard, but I want to share one thing with Susan to share with all of you. I want to give every one of you the finger. Susan had the no wag finger. So if you're doing something wrong, she will give you the wag of the finger to you. So you knew, okay, you got to think about it. Okay, I shouldn't do that. I got to do something else. So that was always her thing. So I really appreciated that. With her growing up in Culver City and California and meeting Norm there and then moving because of her father moving across the country to New Jersey, she was always about family. My family is totally different. It's like, once you're 18, okay, get out. You're done. We're done with you. So, and it was hard to me coming into this family to understand that it's inclusive, it's together, and she enjoyed talking with everybody and being part of everything. So it was just something I wasn't used to getting, so that was nice. Sometimes she was a little bit too much in your face about certain things, and you have to do it this way, do it that way, but it was because she cared, so that was the main thing. It was all about family for her, so I enjoyed the times where some of those jokes I would give her, she would spit up the milk too, like Sean said, on different occasions. And also sometimes making the ice cream. She always enjoyed getting the dasher after getting the ice cream. That was her big thing from childhood going up. I feel sorry for her brothers, Steve and Uncle Dave. You probably never got the dasher. She always got it. But you have a chance today. I got the dasher in there. So you have a chance to reclaim victory. But yeah, she just enjoyed family, all-togetherness. With the Hill and Valley especially, you guys, you were like her family, her right arm. So I appreciate you guys and all the service you do for Hayward. And all the family here. She's talked to each and every one of you, I'm sure, and she enjoyed each of your time. So I really appreciate it. So thank you all for coming here and enjoy the festivities, remembering Susan and everything she's brought to us. And we'll live on her spirit, and we'll keep it with us in our hearts. Thank you.
Uncle Dave, I think we're going to invite you forward next, please. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, hi. My name is Dave Henry. I'm Susan's oldest brother, the last one of our remaining of our immediate family. We were living at my grandmother's house when she was born. And I'm just going to go through her first 15 years or so of life because I'm the only one still living that knows anything about it. But anyway, we're living at my grandmother's house, and she was born in May 1944. And shortly after that, my parents purchased a house in the western part of Culver City. And for only $8,000, by the way. But of course, in today's money, that would be at least $80,000. But considering now the house is probably $1.5 million or more, who knows? Anyway, it was a nice 3-bedroom house. Susan and my brother Steve lived in the back, one of the back bedrooms, and my parents in the other. And I was fortunate enough to have the one bedroom for myself. Susan, at that time in our family, we called her Susie to use a nickname. We never used the full name to sound too formal, I guess. But anyway, so I was going to Betsy Ross School while she was still a toddler and a young child, so we didn't have a whole lot of interaction. And later on, as she got a little older, we began to play games, doing things together, and eventually we played board games like Monopoly and Sorry and Parcheesi, and there was one even probably nobody's heard of anymore called Uncle Wiggly, but it was, we had a lot of fun with it. Unfortunately with kids tend to tease each other quite a bit. And in our family, teasing was no exception. So I and my brother often would be teasing Susan, or Susie, my sister. And once in a while, it was me and Susan against my brother Steve. By the way, my brother Steve is Andy's dad. So anyway, we most of the time had a good time, but I was pretty much unteasable, so they couldn't get to me. But anyway, so one time my brother and I decided to pull the ultimate trick on her. You know, the older doorknobs, now you have doorknobs that are kind of fancy, hard to take off and whatever, but these were old round doorknobs, and all you had to have was a screwdriver and take a screw out to get the doorknob off. So she was in her room. She transferred to the room that I originally had. My parents moved me back with Steve, so we were together. But I guess they thought as she was a little older, she needed her own room. Anyway, I took the screw out of the door and took the doorknobs off the door. So you have a door, still has a latch, no knobs. So without her knowing what we were doing, she was in the room, and I carefully pushed the door closed. And no knobs in the door, she couldn't get out. That was the ultimate dirty trick. My parents did not approve of that. Anyway, things like that went on while we were growing up. And eventually, I was 6 years older than Susan. My brother was just a little more than a year older. But I left Betsy Ross School. It was an elementary school, and my brother and sister were going there, and I was already in what they call junior high. Now it's called middle school most places. But anyway, that was the next step. So I never really was in the same school that she was. During one of our most intimate times together was when my dad had 2 weeks vacation normally every year, and we always took vacations. So we lived in Culver City, and we'd drive up the coast on Highway 99. This is before interstates were built. So driving on 99, it's much slower. It's not a high-speed road. You have to slow down when you're going through towns and all that kind of stuff. But somehow, all of us three sat in the back, so we were all cozy together, and of course, kids together in one spot, and one wants the window, the other one wants the window, and all these crazy things that going on, probably driving my parents crazy. But anyway, we managed to have some fun times camping out. We would drive up to Prairie Creek and go to other national parks like Lassen and Crater Lake, and up to Mount Rainier, out to Olympic National Park, all the way over to Glacier and the Tetons, Salt Lake City, down to Grand Canyon, Bryce Canyon, and Zion, just about anywhere you could think of at the time that was a national park. Anyway, so we had a lot of fun doing that. And there was, in the car, of course, there was no cell phones. Kids were, they had to figure entertaining what to do and how to have fun. And most of the time we either sang songs like She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain, or we'll play games like I Spy. You have to find an object starting with A or starting with B, starting with C, something to keep little minds occupied. And anyway, but sometimes there was quarreling. One of us had to go to the front seat. And then later on, my grandmother Henry was with us, so the front seat was occupied, so all three kids in the back had to figure a way to make it without somebody going to the front. Anyway, that was a big part of our life, and later on, I was in high school, and then she and Norm, her husband, managed to work their way up to the school system into junior high. So they were in like 7th grade, and I was in 12th grade. And I lived there with Culver City with them until I left home to go to Spokane, and Susan was still going to high school. When they were younger, I used to entertain them, and both Susan and Steve enjoyed listening to my I had a great imagination, and I had all these crazy people, some imaginary, some based on people in real life, and made up these stories, and they listened intently, and Susan seemed to enjoy it, but I don't know if she really did or Anyway, once I graduated and left home, I didn't have the same day-to-day contact with her that I had living at home. And she was still going to school. After she graduated, my parents transferred from California my dad had a job with Mobil Oil in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Being a chemist, he did, research on fuels and oil and stuff like that. But anyway, she temporarily moved back they had a place in Pittman, New Jersey, and she transferred back with my parents for a while, and then she went back to California. She went to school in the University of Santa Barbara, so she was back in this side of the country again for a while. And I didn't really have a lot of contact with her. One thing I didn't mention, she always wanted a bigger sister, or a sister, bigger or little, or any kind of sister. She had 2 brothers. So she was fortunate to have a lot of girl cousins. So she had 2 girl cousins that were by my mother's younger sister, their youngest sister, I should say, in about a couple miles away. I'm not sure if it was eastern part of Santa Monica or Venice or anyway, Mar Vista, one of those towns that was close to them. And so she got to play with those 2 girl cousins. She had 2 other girl cousins, Dareth and Alana, that lived in Hollywood. And less frequently, she could see and play with them. And that was good. So that was 4 girl cousins against only 2 brothers that helped out. But later on in life, because of their ages, she had actually 3 more girl cousins on my mother's side. But they were a little too young for her to interact with. But that gave her 7 girl cousins and only 1 boy cousin. So that sort of made up for only having 2 brothers. Anyway, so we got to see her occasionally when we'd be traveling. I was in Alaska for 28 years, so when I'd come out down to LA and down to the West Coast again, we'd get to see her occasionally there. And after we lived in Massachusetts, which is later than that, we made occasional trips but it was pretty infrequent. It was mainly talking on the phone, and we used to send tape recordings, like either reel-to-reel or cassettes. And at that time when we lived in Anchorage, long-distance calls were not really cheap like they are today. You practically don't have to pay anything. But at times, it was very expensive, especially calling from Alaska. That's why we sent tapes back and forth. We could hear the other people's voices. So we enjoyed hearing her voice, and hopefully she enjoyed hearing our voices. But anyway, Sean mentioned, my mother was living in New Jersey still in later years after my dad passed away, and we were living in Massachusetts, so I had to make trips down there to help my mother for one reason or the other, and it was becoming, pretty frequent. It was a little bit difficult because it's a 350-mile or so trip. So Susan, fortunately, took on the responsibility of getting my mother moved, and of course we all did everything. My brother and I, Steve, we did everything we could to help with that, including getting our house ready for sale and so forth. But I was very grateful that Susan was willing to take on, bringing her down into Hayward and actually getting a place for her there in Union City. So that was a big deal. Anyway, I never expected that since I was 6 years older that she would be gone before I was. So that was really a shock when Sean called me and told me about it. It's one of those things you just don't get over right away. So anyway, that's all I have. Thanks.
we could all feel like we were there in the back seat of that car going through the national parks. That was so vivid, Uncle Dave. Thank you so much for that time capsule, helping us go back in time like that. Beautiful. Gee, come, sweetie.
Hello, everyone. MG, I'm Susan. Daughter-in-law. I am Sean's wife, in case anyone doesn't know me. And you know, like you hear from Sean that you know, like I'm not the. I was born in Vietnam, and I just moved in here like about 25 years ago plus. So when I met Sean and he introduced me to his family, I was really nervous when, you know, I first come to meet, you know, with his family, and especially with his parents. And, you know, since we are like, I feel that, you know, we are like two different backgrounds, so I'm scared and nervous. I don't know, you know, what should I talk with, you know, when I come to the family meeting. But Susan, yeah, when, you know, in the, like, met me, you know, feel that I am welcome to the family, and I mean, made me feel that it will be easy to talk. And I mean, I am shy person, and I'm not very good on, like, you know, talking, but I don't know, for some reason, I mean, I feel when I talk to her, it's easy to talk. And I mean, I don't know how to, you know, but yeah, and after that we got married, and I know that, you know, Sean spend a lot of time with my mother-in-law, and, you know, I feel like, you know, I take away, I mean, her son, so I feel really bad, but I really we want to try to make it up. So we, you know, we have the, you know, we really love to, you know, go, you know, spend time whenever we can. And now it's very fun. We test, you know, her, that, and my parents go to the trip, and we have dinner, and it's coincidence, my dad and Susan, they both love gamble. So I mean, it's fun time when, you know, we take him together with both the parents and us, and, you know, we think that we will take like many trips. We plan to take like the trip, go to Caribbean with both of my parents and Susan and Norm together. And but, you know, it's hard to believe that, you know, when we got the news, our phone, when we went to Bitsu and we didn't have the phone reception, and after that we saw the text from that, and I was the one Sean driving, so I called, and we got the bad news, and I mean, I couldn't believe that happened. And yeah, and it like, you know, the trip that we plan and the thing we do, it will never be the same, since like we are the missing fee in there. But, you know, I know that Mom Susan want us, like every member in the family, you know, get together, like as long as you get together regularly. So that is what Jenny mentioned. I will, you know, will work that with Jenny, so that we want to do to make that happen, and like make Mom will be, you know, even though she no longer with us, but I believe that what we do, she will see.
It is Uncle Norm's turn. Yeah, come on, darling. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, okay. This little speech is in 4 parts, but they're not very long parts. So. Part 1. Susan and I were having a very, very good day on a Saturday morning, January 31st. I presume she had taken her usual early morning walk on Bailey Ranch Trail around 7 o'clock when I'm still in bed. Around 9 o'clock, after I'd had my breakfast, she asked me from downstairs whether I was ready to leave. She was, and didn't want to be kept waiting. I said I was drinking my coffee and then would make out a check that I had to mail. She asked in an amused way why I didn't multitask and write the check while I was drinking my coffee. And I said that I wanted to enjoy my coffee first. I think of this as a classic case of a woman trying to get people moving and out the door. When we arrived at the post office, I realized that I was still wearing my slippers. Slippers, not real slippers, which is what I consider my white New Balance running shoes, which I'm actually wearing. Because they were the only ones left in my, I'd ended up buying white ones because they were the only ones left in my size. Then I didn't want to get them dirty, so I decided to wear them indoors as slippers. She would tell me that she could hear me clomping around upstairs in them. She thought all of this was ridiculous, as most sane people would. I believe I actually playfully said that maybe I could just tiptoe. I heard her laughing at me from the car, and I was laughing to myself, too. Susan was driving our Prius, and after she parked in the parking space at the business Costco, I was kidding her the way I would about her SQ parking. It seemed she would always park at an angle to the parallel lines of parking spaces, and we could both laugh about it. This time, though, as she pointed out, it was actually better, which I had to admit and give her credit for. This was the first time in years since she'd been in the business Costco on A Street. She loved it, especially because there were so few people there compared to how crowded the other Costco superstores are. Her mission with me along was to find potato salad for a Hill and Valley lunch that was coming up. Typical, she had volunteered to help out when the kitchen committee needed additional help. The potato salad was in the refrigerated section that you could walk into, like walking into the Arctic from the rest of the store. And there are a number of aisles, but we did find potato salad. When we got back home, she called our daughter, Jennifer, and excitedly was telling her about how great the business Costco was, saying, and she actually said this, it was heaven. Where's part two? Oh, part two. Okay. Part two. All right. Everything changed a little afternoon. I had been weeding in the backyard when she called to me. She was standing at the back doorway and calmly said, very calmly, "Norm, I think something's wrong with me." It's funny how the words just, they're just like, I never forget those words and the way she said them. At first, that didn't compute because she looked and sounded okay, but then I realized it must be something serious. I went around through the garage, and by the time I got to her, she was sitting on her recliner in the midst of taking her blood pressure. She had the cuff on. She told me that she had been cleaning upstairs when she felt like her head was going to explode. The next thing she said was, and I was kind of kneading her shoulder, she was saying this. She was saying, "I feel like I'm going to pass out." And she did. These were her last words. She had been incredibly calm. Everything she said was so calm about the whole thing, matter of fact, like serene, and made every word count before she lost consciousness. She gave me a precious gift that I was able to be there with her during her last conscious moments, and she was very lucid. It was like she had fallen asleep. She was breathing normally, like she was asleep, but would not be woken by the paramedics loudly calling her name. She died. Her heart stopped soon after being taken to Eden Medical Center. The doctor there told me that she had a bad tear in her aorta that wasn't survivable. Her grandfather had died the same way at about the same age. He said she hadn't suffered. Well, I seem to have lost something. Oh, okay. Part 3. That Susan became involved with the Hill and Valley Club was totally by chance. She was on next door, I believe, one day when there was a discussion about catios. It just happened that a neighbor a couple blocks away, Carol Ann Peel, who may be here today, was in on the conversation. She had cats too, and asked Susan if she could come over and see and look at Susan's catio. It happened that she was a Hill and Valley Club member, and she was the one that introduced Susan to the club. Susan took to the club like a fish to water, and it didn't take long for people to realize that she was a very talented fish. She soon took on the job of recording secretary on the board and would hold it down for most of her 4 years in the club. After only a year and a half or so, she was elected president and completed her 2-year term. She accomplished a lot, working on the bylaws committee, revising the bylaws, giving a speech before city council, accepting the proclamation honoring the club as the oldest service club in the city, and more importantly, wrote the grant proposal and went through all the steps necessary to obtain funds from the Rotary Club for a new roof. And she was involved in any number of other projects And she was always coming up with ideas and bringing them before the board and getting them shot down. And, I mean, she loved the club. I was in Hemet, so, you know, it was really the right time for her to have a women's group. You know, it's great that there is a women's group. And so she was, so anyway, so she enjoyed the camaraderie, that goes on, whatever goes on in the women's group. I'm not sure what goes on. And but she loved that, and I mean, she did everything to support the club, and to keep it going, as it has been going for over 100 years. And she raised plants. She bought all these plants, at the flea markets, and then she would, I was out in the backyard watering all these pots of plants, that she would sell, at the boutiques or whatever they call, whatever they're called, flea markets, and to raise money for the good cause of the club and everything. And she was always volunteering. And she held down the recording secretary job because no one else really could do it, like she could do it. I don't know what you're going to do now for a recording secretary. Yeah. So, I mean, she was really a key person. I mean, she really was kind of indispensable, really, I mean, she can't be replaced. I mean, I can't replace her, I mean, I miss her, the things that we shared. There are some things I don't miss her because we didn't really share them. But, all the rest, that we shared, I mean, it's really hard, and not to be able to share things, So anyway, that was the speech, and I ad-libbed, and now for the fourth part, this was something that I found on her computer. Once I was able to find the password, because she didn't leave me passwords really that easy to find for the computer or her iPhone, which I still can't break into. So I'm going to have to probably get Apple's help with that. So anyway, I discovered this poem. She actually wrote a poem last year. And I haven't actually read this, out loud, but I'm going to read it out loud here. And this is the finale. So her poem is, "One day, the road ends. The dishes sit untouched in the sink. The TV hums to no one. The book remains open, the final page never turned. The road ends. Clothes still hang in the closet, sheets neatly folded, the house in perfect order." Her house was never in perfect order. "As if time itself paused. The road ends. Slippers rest by the door. A table set for a meal never had. Cold coffee lingers in a forgotten cup. A portrait gathers dust. A to-do list on the fridge left unfinished. The road, my road, ends. Yet the world continues. Spring will return with new blossoms," and she's right about that. Spring is coming. "The seasons will change without me. Departures and arrivals will persist. Laughter will echo in places I once stood. There will be new love, new friendships, new chapters written beyond my story. Life will move forward, even when I no longer walk its path. So today, as long as breath still fills my lungs, let my prayer be this: if I take nothing with me, may I leave behind something beautiful, a memory, a kindness, a warmth in the hearts of those I've met, that even when my road ends, love remains. Oh, one more thing. She really loved being Superman. No, actually, she really loved going to Bunko. Mostly when she would win, but she wasn't that happy when she lost. Okay.
In the 31st chapter of the book of Proverbs, the traditional author of that amazing book, King Solomon, describes a woman of valor. I often translate that as a woman warrior. And the description of the woman warrior is Susan to a T. Hardworking, modest, looking to the future, bright and industrious, not consumed with vanity, but a woman who is kind to her husband, who does good for him, never bad, all the days of her life. For this woman of valor, her children come forward and praise her. Her husband says, "Other women have done well, but you surpass them all." We are told that grace is elusive and beauty is vain, but a woman who loves life, who gives freely of the work of her hands and the kindness of her mouth, that is a woman to be praised. Susan was a woman of valor. She fought many battles so valiantly, spoke with honesty and kindness to the world, and my goodness, how her children and her family, her husband, her brother, her friends, come forth to praise her. Thank you, Susan.
Hi.
Hello.
My name
okay.
is Susan Gehlke, and I am the youngest child, the only daughter of Melvin and Louise Henry.
And your age?
I'm 62 years old, and I am a school psychologist for San Leandro Unified School District, and I probably will be retiring in June. As far as what I like to do, I like to quilt. I'm interested in genealogy. I like to do things on the computer. I have a lot of different interests. Anything else you need to know about me?
Oh, let's see, where you traveled to get here?
We came from Hayward, which is about an hour and a half from here. We live in the Bay Area, and we've lived there all of our married life. So Norm and I have been married for 43 years this year. So
wow,
we lived here a long time.
Oh,
and that's
nice.
it about me. And we're having a great time, and it's really nice to know everybody and see everybody, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank
welcome.
you very much. I like cooperative people.
Yes.
So what order?
If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend them with you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time with. If I had a box just for wishes and dreams that had never come true, the box would be empty except for the memory of how they were answered by you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time with.
May not like to talk on camera, but you know, he sure talks a lot at home.
Not as much as my wife talks, though. Actually, my wife is the better part of my brain.
We are the same brain, actually.
We are one
brain.
mind. We are one
like
mind.
Star
It's
Trek
less
now.
than
I don't
hers.
know. I'm a little scared.
Over and out.
All right.
A place for us, somewhere, a place for us, peace and quiet and open air, wait for us somewhere.
There's a time for us, someday a time for us, time together with time to spend, time to look, time to care, someday.
Somewhere we'll find a new way of living.
We'll find a way of forgiving.
There's a place for us, a time and place for us. Hold my hand and we're halfway there. Hold my hand and I'll take you there. Somehow, someday, on the road of experience and trying to find my own way. Sometimes I wish that I could fly away. When I think that I'm moving in the universe. Sometimes that's how it seems. I get lost in the sadness and the screams, and I look in the center. Suddenly everything's clear. I find myself in the sunshine and my dreams, and I'm looking for space and to find out who I am, and I'm looking to know and understand. It's a sweet, sweet dream. Sometimes I'm almost there. Sometimes I fly like an eagle, and sometimes I'm deep in despair. On the road of experience, joining the living day. If there's an answer, it's just that way. When you're looking for space and to find out who you are, when you're looking to try and reach the stars, it's a sweet, sweet, sweet dream. Sometimes I'm almost there. Sometimes I fly like an eagle, and sometimes I'm deep in despair. Sometimes I fly like an eagle, I go flying high.
So grateful to the family, Sean and Chi and Jenny and Tom and Glenn and Ronnie and everyone who contributed these beautiful pictures. As with anyone we love, we just want more and more. We have a little time now if there is anyone else who would like to come forward to this very friendly room and share any additional memories of dear Susan.
Please. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Carol Ann. I'm a member of the Hill and Valley Club, and I introduced Susan to this club. But mostly we bonded through our cats. I had advertised in next door, did anyone have good success with the indoor enclosure for cats? Because Susan and I had this in common. Her son Sean gave her 2 Norwegian forest cats when she was not exactly in the market for them. And my daughter left the country and left a family of 4 formerly feral cats with me while she took her own 3 cats with her. So Susan and I had a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things in common. And we really bonded through those cats, and we wound up taking care of each other's cats when the other was out of town, etc. And introducing her to this club was one of the best things that I've done in a long time, about almost 5 years ago, because she was such a blessing and such a wonderful addition to our club. always stepping up without having to be asked, always enthusiastic about the club and what she could do to help out the club for its continued success. We miss Susan every day, but our lives are better that she was in them. And we thank her and her family for the opportunity to come together in remembrance. And she will live forever in our hearts and in our minds. And if you'll bear with me, I want to read a poem that is one of my favorites. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am the thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on the ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awake in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circling flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die.
Speaking in front of a group can be a little daunting. It's okay, just want to give another minute if anyone would like to come forward. Just share a couple of additional words.
I realized that I forgot one of the pages that something that I was going to say. Susan, she worked on the roof. That was her baby. And it wasn't easy to get the money to pry that out of the Rotary Club, and then they even asked for a plaque afterwards. It's on the wall, like they had done that, out of generosity or something. But they gave her all sorts of problems, before they finally, awarded her the grant. I mean, she wrote the grant request and everything. So. Anyway, so since that was such an important, accomplishment, actually, I also, I wanted to back up a little. I wanted to thank everybody that sent cards, sympathy cards, and also, for thoughts and prayers, for everybody that, was, I'm sure there were a lot of people that didn't send cards that, did have their own thoughts and prayers, about her death. But, and what else was I going to say? Well, anyway, what I was, oh, I wanted to, okay, now I got it. Okay, I wanted to thank the club for waiving the 5-year rule as far as, using the hall without having to pay rent. So the reason that we're here rent-free is because, it was the board, I think it was the board, not the full, general membership. Oh, it was everybody. Okay, so it was the whole club. So I wanted to thank the whole club, for doing that. That was really a generous thing to do. But the thing is, I actually want to donate, an equal amount to the club as what we would have been paying, today. And I don't know what that amount is. Can I hear anybody in the audience who knows how much that is actually? Anybody? Nobody knows what the hall rents for? I'm amazed the club members wouldn't know that. But anyway, I was thinking like 300 or something like that. Does that in the ballpark? That sounds. What was that? Oh yeah, just because you said that sounds very reasonable. What wouldn't sound that reasonable? That, or you mean that is the approximate number that people pay, actually. Okay, and what I would like to do is to do it in her honor. That this would actually be toward a new floor to go with the new roof. And I think this would make her so happy, if. Okay, well, I'm going to further it, and anybody else. So it'd be for the Susan Gehlke new roof for the clubhouse fund. I guess that covers it. So that's what. So I will write a check though to whoever I should be. Somebody said that they were. Who was it? What was your name again? Your name is Pat. Oh, Keesley. You're yeah. Oh yeah. I mean. Yes. And we made it about the building and how important this building was. Yes. To the city of Hayward and for other people to use it. And her words, I threw out an idea and she would spin out the whole answer to this question that had nothing to do with the question, but it worked. Yeah, I know you. That was amazing to watch her craft that whole thing. Yeah, right. Don't worry, it was going to get approved. Oh yeah, he's the Rotary Club. We have the Rotary Club here. I shouldn't be saying things. Okay, all right. Well, so that does it then. And whoever. So who should I give the? I should give it to you then. Sure. You're the treasurer. Oh, okay. Give it to me. I'll make sure it gets to the. Okay, all right. And so when you get the new floor, that if you could dedicate that. In her, well, I don't know about the plaque.
Thank you, Norm.
Now, I know we all just want to know that Norm is going to write that check while having his cup of coffee in the morning. Let's see if you can take that challenge. Friends, we will move to conclude, but please do continue to keep Susan so much alive in your hearts, in your stories, in your memories. Andy and I are so privileged and honored to have been asked to help a little bit with this afternoon's ceremony, but it wouldn't be what it is without all of you coming to give your love to Susan's family. I am given to understand that Norm and my beloved father-in-law, whom I adored, had been lab partners in chemistry class in high school, and that Susan, because of her friendly and slightly flirtatious nature, met Norm because of Steve and their high school partnership. And a box of raisins. That story we might need to add in afterwards to the memoirs, because I'm not sure I know that one. Okay. Shannon, you want to tell us the raisin story? You know this story? Okay. Come tell us the raisin story. Then we're going to sing a song that...
Yeah, I don't want to make this like the noodle instant from Calvin and Hobbes where it's never explained, even though that would be funny, admittedly. But basically... Grandma, when he met Norm, was so nervous that he had him autograph a box of raisins, and yeah, as a way of me, that's pretty much it.
That's amazing. Thank you, Shannon.
Is that box of raisins under glass somewhere,
That's
perhaps? Thank you, Shannon. It was beautiful. Aw. So we just want to take a moment, let's have a moment of sweet silence. Aunt Susan was one of very, very few people who knew what Andy and I were going through these last 21 months and continue to go through since Steve passed away. I sense from all of you that having Susan in your life was a comfort, that she was such a source of strength and love and encouragement. Her notes to me were very precious. I don't have any aunts or any cousins. So to be embraced by this family is the greatest blessing of my life. I felt better knowing Aunt Susan was in our corner, and we miss her very much. She is united now in spirit with her adored mother, Louise, her cherished father, Melvin, and beloved big brother, Steve. Andy and I offer our deep and abiding comfort to Dave and Marie, Jenny and Tom, Sean and She, Glenn and Ronnie, Shannon, Alan, Ben, and Jelaine, Jeff, and Mike, and all of their families and loved ones. I knew I loved Aunt Susan, but finding out that she and I shared a love of the great, late John Denver just raised her a notch higher in my esteem. And so we will conclude today's celebration of Susan's life by harnessing John Denver's amazing spirit, the love he had for the land, for the plants and the animals, and for the sunshine that feels so good when it lands on our shoulders. Susan was a ray of sunshine, and her memory will keep us warm all of our days.
I told my son Jonah that I would explain sorry why this guitar. My father also loved John Denver, and on hearing the album that this song came from, my father, I presume, saw the guitar that John Denver was holding on the cover, and must have said to himself, I don't know, I wasn't around yet, that he has to have it. No, this is not John Denver's actual guitar. But it is the exact model that my dad bought so that he could sing John Denver's music. Before I sing the song, I need to give myself a moment to not cry. So I do want to share utterly random information, since Aunt Susan was so enamored with genealogy. We know that her most important roles in life were as a mother, a grandmother, a sister, a daughter, a wife. But you will be interested to know she is also the first cousin 7 times removed from Patrick Henry, the 16 times great-granddaughter of James II, King of Scotland, and the 21st times great-granddaughter of Robert the Bruce. So Sean, if you play your cards right, and about 12 million people play them wrong, you guys could get a castle. So we'll go back to John Denver, and if you know the song, please, please, please sing out. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. If I had a day that I could give you, I'd give to you a day just like today. If I had a song that I could sing for you, I'd sing a song to make you feel this way. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. If I had a tale that I could tell you, I'd tell a tale sure to make you smile. If I had a wish that I could wish for you, make a wish for sunshine all the while. Please sing with me. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high. Sunshine almost always
time, almost always.
Thank you so much. Please stay safe and well. May Susan's memory be a blessing. God bless.